Honorable viewers, I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel ZRBD24. Today's topic is The Way of the World, Comedy of Manners, written by William Congreve. Let's start. The Way of the World is a masterpiece of William Congreve. It is a restaurant comedy. It is a major evidence of wit and humor. It is considered to be one of the most remarkable works of comedy of manners. In The Way of the World, we find a fine description of the lifestyle of upper class of society of restaurant period. Millamant, lover of Mirabell, niece of Lady Wishford, is the supreme creation of Congreve. She is very self-centered and ambitious. Although she likes Mirabell, she dislikes his vanity. When Mirabell talks her regarding their marriage, she puts a condition before him, quote, that when you are dwindled into a wife, I may not be beyond measure enlarged into a husband. She is well aware of the fact that after marriage, husbands want to exploit their wives, but she is completely different types of women and not a subject of any sort of exploitation. She is a lady who wants to spend her life in full liberty right from her birth to death. She is not fond of visiting theatres and plotting like other restaurant women. She is not fond of wearing face masks. Mirabell, lover of Millamant, is considered to be the hero of this play. He has many faults, but his impression about Millamant is totally positive and tolerable. He keenly loves Millamant, quote, and for a discerning man, somewhat too passionate a lover for, I like her with her all faults, nay, like her for her faults. The most lovable quality which Mirabell possesses is his quality of maintaining passions. He is fond of plotting. It is he who makes believe to be in love with Lady Wishford, fashionable women aunt of Millamant, mother of Mrs. Fainall. But he does it to get favor so that he can win Millamant. Lady Wishford is very annoyed with artificial love of Mirabell. But we see the positive quality of Mirabell when he saves Lady Wishford from the clothes of Mr. Fainall, lover of Mrs. Marwood, husband of Mrs. Fainall, son-in-law of Lady Wishford. He accepts all the conditions of Millamant regarding their marriage. He doesn't like talking wine and fashionable ladies. He is charming, lovable, and considerable. He exhibits false love to Lady Wishford. He doesn't like Millamant's parents. He can tackle any adverse situation. He knows the art of flattery. Lady Wishford tries to hide her old age by using cosmetics. She expects to be wounded by handsome heroes. Congreve emphasizes her social and sexual hypocrisy. She is very dominant in her behavior. Most of the characters in this play make plot against her, but she is unaware about this. She is a tragic character because she faces a number of adverse circumstances and ultimately cries for help. She believes easily whatever she hears. She appears very funny when she waits for Sir Roland, who is actually the servant of Mirabel. She asks her maid servant Foible that what should her first poster to Sir Roland, her supposed suitor. Quote, Whether now shall receive him, in what figure shall I give his heart? The first impression, there is a great deal in the first impression. She is very confused and impatient. She is cheated by Mirabel, Mr. Fainall, her son-in-law, Foible, her servant, Mrs. Marwood, her hypocritical friend, Sir Roland and Sir Wilful Whitwood, her nephew. They all try to exploit her. Her sexual hunger is just like a young teenage girl. She easily trusts anybody. She is a kind of lady who can be easily misguided even by her maidservant. She is very angry because of her maidservant's behavior. Foible plays an important role in making conspiracy. She is a maidservant of Lady Wishfort, but she makes intrigue against Lady Wishfort. She speaks lies frequently and wins everybody's trust. Lady Wishfort says, out of my house, thou viper, thou serpent, that I have fostered. Petulant is a peculiar character. He lacks judgment, good manners, courage, and education. He is totally liar, but he is a man of very frankness. He doesn't hide any matter and discloses all the secrets which he knows. He is not fond of plotting. Whitwood is a true friend of Petulant. He wants to adopt the style of those people who live in the city. He wants to copy the manners of advanced and sophisticated people. This is the reason that when his half-brother comes to meet him, he doesn't want to identify because it was the fashion of city. And he simply wants to follow this style. Quote, a friendship without freedom is as dull as love without enjoyment or wine without toasting. Through this line, we can realize the whole picture of restaurant period. Wine and sexual intercourse was the common in restaurant period. Men and women were boycotted moral values. Women used only for the sexual refreshment of men. This illicit relation took place in nightclub. Sir Wilful looks very strange and rustic in his attitude, but actually he is much purified. His character creates tension for the readers when Millamant declares that she has given her approval for the marriage with Sir Wilful, but ultimately Sir Wilful exhibits a heroic quality when he refuses to marry her for the sake of Mirabel's love. Mr. Fainall makes conspiracy against Lady Wishfort to gain her property. He is absolutely devoid of human values. He misbehaves with Mrs. Fainall, daughter of Lady Wishfort. On the other hand, he makes illicit relation with Mrs. Marwood. Mrs. Fainall, wife of Mr. Fainall, has come soft corner in her heart of Mirabel. She is very frustrated about the misbehavior of her husband, Mr. Fainall. Quote, While I only hated my husband, I could bear to see him. But since I have despised him, he is too offensive. It is true that Mrs. Fainall is in love with Mirabel, and she keeps herself very near to him instead of her husband, Mr. Fainall. Mrs. Fainall becomes pregnant by Mirabel. It looks very funny when Mirabel suggests Mrs. Fennel to marry Fennel in order to hide her pregnancy. Mrs. Marut is like a cunning fox. She is enthusiastic to men but pretends loving Fennel. She agitates him into action against Mirabel. She also pretends to be a loyal friend to Lady Wishford. She is full of wickedness. She is a lady of self-importance and hypocrisy. There is an illicit relation between them, Mrs. Marut and Fennel. Even there is also an illicit relation between Mirabel and Mrs. Marut. White Oil Sir Roland is a reliable servant of Mirabel. He is Foible's husband and an effective weapon of Mirabel against Lady Wishford. He disguises himself as Sir Roland and makes love relation with Lady Wishford according to the plan of Mirabel. Women's habit of visiting theatres, nightclub without their husband's permission was a remarkable fashion in the restaurant period. Further, we see that wearing tight dress was very much in fashion in that period. For this, Mirabel lament that she cannot wear such type of garments during the time of pregnancy because it might cause harm to the forthcoming child. Mirabel, the hero of the play, comments on the outward appearance and equipment of Milament, the heroic of the play. In faith, here she comes in full bloom of her beauty and grace, with her fur spread and streams out and shoal of fools for tenders. The feeling of vanity and jealousy was prevalent in Nestorian society. In Nestorian society, men and women were deeply involved in plotting and scheming. Falsehoods and fopps were common traits of that time. Mirabel's love affairs with several women indicate the free sex of that time. Restaurant period was full of unfaithfulness and deceitfulness. Women were shameless and their behavior was very rough and dishonorable. Husband and wife used to make conspiracy against each other. The sexual relation of men and women was the central point of restaurant period. Men used to exploit their wives after marriage. Women of the upper class society used to assemble at a certain place on a particular night to discuss the scandalous affairs. That's all about the way of the world. For the time being, thanks for your patience, sharing.